What's good, family? I'm your host, Zachariah Israel, and welcome to another episode of Don't Shoot the Messenger.
Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot. Living this life can't be stressing, bro. Telling the truth, I'm not letting up. Never. Hands up, don't shoot the messenger.
Shalom, family. We're gonna get straight into it. My boss made me break the Sabbath debunked. My boss made me break the Sabbath debunked. Because there's a lot of sisters and brothers out here that's acting like they boss got a gun up to their head and making them go in on the Sabbath. In this captivity, that is not the case. That is not happening. So I'm going to give you a breakdown of this topic according to the scriptures.
Daniel chapter 3 verse 1. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon.
So King Nebuchadnezzar is going to make an image of gold, and he's going to set it up in the province of Babylon. Babylon, that's the key word, Babylon.
Verse 2. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces, to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up.
So King Nebuchadnezzar is calling all the men with high rank to come up to the dedication of this golden image.
Verse 3. Then the princes, the governors, and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up.
And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So what they doing today, when they want you to give honor, first they ask you to stand. You go in the courtroom, they say, all rise, judge, honorable, whoever. So when they want you to give honor to something, or to pledge to something, or to vow to something, you got to do it by standing. School just started back for my kids. For an example, they know my kids don't do no pledging, no standing for anything. So by their grade levels changing, they get new teachers, and the teachers come to them like, hey, why y'all ain't standing saying the pledge? They say, hey, we don't do the pledge. We ain't never did the pledge. That's against our covenant. That's against our faith. So the teachers say, hey, can you at least stand? Can you at least stand? And I tell my kids, don't even stand because of the scriptures. Because of God. You don't want to disrespect God in no shape, form, or fashion. So we don't even stand for the pledge. This was before Colin Kaepernick or whatever, a lot of people doing that because of what he's doing, and salute him for that. But this was before the Kaepernick thing. My kids, they never stand for no pledge.
Verse 4. Then the herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Therefore at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up.
So, just like over here in America, Babylon had all nations, people, and languages over there. Just like over here, they call this the melting pot. So when they played the music, everybody was supposed to bow down. But that didn't happen. It was certain people that refused to bow down. They didn't care nothing about a fiery furnace. Let's find out which group of people refused to bow down.
Verse 8. Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews.
So it was the Jews. It was the Jews. Can you imagine? Out of all the people that was out there, they were sticking out like sore thumbs. Just like today with the Colin Kaepernick thing. You know, everybody out there in the arena standing up. Everybody out there saying the national anthem. You got Colin Kaepernick taking a kneel. You know, he's on a knee saying, hey, you know, I'm not going to stand up for police brutality, and I'm not going to stand up to this system, and I'm not going to stand up for injustice to my people. So you know, just like back then, they had to be sticking out like sore thumbs because they wouldn't bow to this golden image.
Verse 12. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king.
Just like over here in America, over there in Babylon, it was certain Jews that held higher positions. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was over the affairs of the province of Babylon, even in their captivity. So they refused to bow down, and the king is raging with fury.
Verse 14. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do ye not serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up?
So King Nebuchadnezzar, like, in disbelief, like he can't believe it, because he didn't gave them position. So he like, hey, is it true that you won't bow down to my golden image? Let's try this again. I'm going to give y'all one more time.
Verse 15. Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this manner.
So King Nebuchadnezzar is like, hey, I'm about to give you a second chance. When you hear the music, bow down and worship my golden image, because ain't nobody gonna save you out of the fiery furnace. Who is your God that can save you out of my hands? So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and was like, hey, we ain't even gonna be careful to answer you in this matter. We're gonna keep it 100. We're gonna keep it all the way real.
Verse 17. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up.
So the commandments had to pop up in them brothers' heads, like Exodus chapter 20, verse 3 through 5. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. So now we get into the thick of things. Now we get into the meat and potatoes of this whole lesson. Y'all can see where I'm going? My boss made me break the Sabbath debunked. It's all about keeping the commandments.
Verse 19. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 17 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace.
So the Hebrew boys had that much faith in the Almighty that they was going to put their life on the line. Matter of fact, they did put their life on the line. They didn't care about their positions. All they cared about was the Most High and not breaking that commandment.
Verse 22. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flames of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
So, the men that threw them in the fire was consumed. They died because the fire was so hot that it killed them just by standing by it. They made the fire 7 times hotter than what it's supposed to be. I wonder where they get that from. Because y'all know the lake of fire is going to be 7 times hotter than fire. And it's going to be burning with fire and brimstone. That's something to think about.
Verse 23. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God.
So, then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and was upset, and was like, Didn't we throw 3 men bound in the fire? And the counselors was like, True. Yes, that's true, king. We did throw 3 men in the fire. He answered and said, Hey, I see a 4th man walking around loose, like the Son of God.
Verse 26. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair on their heads singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of the fire had passed on them.
So as you can see, like the Most High say, faith without works is dead. And them brothers had all the faith in the world to know that the Lord will deliver them out of their situation. Fast forwarding to modern day times, and you at your job, and they asking you to come in on the Sabbath. And you told them, hey, I can't work on the Lord's Sabbath. You got to stand firm on that. You got to stand up to your boss and let them know, hey, I'm not coming in on the Sabbath. And sometimes you're going to have to let the chips fall where they may. And if you got the faith and you believe what the Lord say, he will deliver you just like he delivered Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego out of the hands of King Nebuchadnezzar in the fiery furnace. So if you out there working on the Sabbath, you are breaking the commandments and you are in sin. And the wages for sin is death. But wait. My boss made me break the Sabbath. No. Can't nobody make you do anything. We just read that with the story of the Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They didn't willfully bow down to that golden image. So you shouldn't be willfully going in, working, breaking the Lord's Sabbath day. Let's find out what willful sin is. Because a lot of people say, hey, I didn't willfully sin. So let's find out what willful sin is. According to the Bible, it says in Hebrews 10, verse 26, For if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sin. So, once you receive this knowledge and you still go out and break the Sabbath, after you receive this knowledge and you know what you're doing is wrong, there's no more sacrifice for sin. That means you will not be forgiven. Period.
Verse 28. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who have sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies that they might not serve nor worship any god, except their own God. Verse 29. Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort.
Now see, this is the power of the Most High God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that He can turn your enemy's heart and make them bless your God while you're in captivity, just because of your faith. That He can protect you in a fiery furnace and make sure don't nothing burn on you. Not one hair, not one stitch of clothing. You won't even smell like smoke. They put their bodies on the line. They put their lives on the line. They weren't thinking about no stinking job. They weren't thinking about a 9 to 5. They was worried about that commandment. They didn't want the Most High to get them. Not only did He bless our God, He told all the people, nations, and language which speak anything against our God, they shall be cut into pieces, and their house shall be made a dunghill, which we already know what dung is, a boo-boo hill. You know what I'm saying? So that's how powerful our God is. And even had King Nebuchadnezzar confess, there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. Now that's a statement.
Verse 30. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon.
So, to put the cherry on top, the Most High made King Nebuchadnezzar promote Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. All because they was faithful to the Lord and they kept the commandments and refusing to bow down to any image or anybody other than the Most High God over here in this foreign land. So the conclusion of the whole matter is fear the Lord and keep His commandments regardless. So I pray that all my brothers and sisters got some understanding out of this lesson. I hope it edifies you and gave you some guidance on how you should keep the commandments. And remember, don't shoot. I am only the messenger. Shalom.